Welcome to my channel Stimulate TV and the very first episode of Open Floor with yours truly, Kevin Lewin. Now, as promised, if you're on my Facebook page, I told you that I would dedicate this very first episode to exactly what took place in November 2020, how I'm in this position. And what I mean by this position, I mean being a quadriplegic. I want to be clear, this channel is not about me being a quadriplegic. However, I wanted to share the story with you guys, those persons who may not know what have happened, because of course at some point you're going to realize that I'm not able to walk around or move around as I would like. So I want to have those questions answered. Prior to November 2020, or I should say specifically November 23rd, 2020, I was just an ordinary guy, the 9 to 5, a passion for business. I was an entrepreneur, an immigration officer, and a social media tete, as they would put it. I'm always on Facebook, always have some views about something or nothing at all. So I'm here to share what happened to me. And going forward, we'll be sharing stuff that affects us in our everyday life. So not about being a quad, but just current affairs and social commentary, etc. November 22nd, 2020 was my daughter's birthday, and I went there and we had a great time. Little did I know that the following day my life would have changed drastically. November 23rd, about approximately 7 p.m. thereabout, I was driving along the Bogue Road in St. James. While approaching the ATL building, I saw a black Voxy speeding up the road. When I say speeding, I mean like person was on the Autobahn or Dover Raceway, and they were overtaking all the traffic on their side of the road and was on my side of the road. So I saw the vehicle coming, and of course I started to brace myself, taking precaution. But the vehicle kept coming and coming and coming. And by the time we got to we returned to going to Bogue Village and the supermarket, some of you guys may be familiar, the vehicle ran straight into my car. Now, as customary, if you're in an accident, you're going to exit your vehicle, you're going to go and assess the damages, you're going to speak to the occupants of the other vehicle. So while I stepped out of my car to approach the van, the occupants put the van in reverse, sped off on a detour, a very bad road that's in the vicinity. So some of you may know where I'm talking. So I jumped back into my car because I was upset. Like this person just ran into my vehicle and decided to speed away. So I jumped into my car and attempted to chase the vehicle. However, my car being low wouldn't allow that to happen. So what I did when I turned on the detour, I decided, you know what, let me just pull over on the side of the road, assess the damages, and then of course I'd have to fix my vehicle. Because in the heat of the moment, I never got a chance to look at the license plate of the vehicle. So I pulled over on the side of the road, with the back of the car facing the Bogue Road and the front facing the direction in which the vehicle went. I have a brother who I usually call, if I'm in a jam or any little thing I want to share with him. So I pulled over, parked, called him and told him that I was involved in a hit and run and the vehicle sped away. So he asked me if I was okay, the usual. And I told him, yeah man, I'm good. So to be honest with you guys, I have no idea why I parked on the side of the road waiting for him, but I said I was just gonna park here and wait. So while there, it's the Bogue here, so a lot of persons in that area know me and they came by to just check on me if I was okay. And everyone was asking about the accident. Even people I didn't know. Curious onlookers, I guess you may call them. So this one particular person came up after, quite a few persons were asking about the accident. and he asked me, what happened, what took place. So I thought he was just another curious onlooker. Person was standing maybe approximately 7 feet or so from the front of the vehicle. And they weren't standing directly in front of the vehicle. It's kind of like diagonal. So towards the side. My car is a left-hand drive vehicle, so I was in the driver's seat, and he was to the left of me. And he asked me about whether or not I got the license plate number and if I know where the vehicle went, etc. So of course I was like, yeah man, the vehicle went on that road. And him say, you want to go look for the vehicle? Or just we lick you and go around on the road? So I say, no man, me good. And him say, alright, cool. Him say, you get the license plate number? I say, no man, everything cool. Me fix my vehicle. And him say, alright. Now, I had my phone in my hand. I was turning around now, turning away from him to plug in the phone in the charger. So in that split of a second or millisecond, I turned around to plug in my phone, and that's when it all happened. I felt like I was floating. I was disoriented, but I wasn't unconscious. And I was in the car and I was floating. And I was saying to myself, I wonder what just happened to me a while ago. Why am I in the car and I float? And then it dawned on me that something really bad just happened to you. But I couldn't pinpoint what it was. And I was there in the car and I felt helpless. I couldn't move my arms, couldn't move my legs, couldn't move my torso. The only thing I could do was just move my head left and right. And it was a very weak movement. So I was there struggling in the car, and like I wasn't calling for help or anything at that point. I was trying to figure out what really happened. Then this is funny. Then I'm sitting in the car and I thought to myself, but Kevin, you just came out of the vehicle and you assessed the damages. How didn't you realize that the gas tank was leaking and the car just blew up with you a while ago? That was the first thought that came to mind. But then I was still looking through the windshield and realized that there was no fire, there was no smoke. And I would have been wrong. The car did not explode. But that's what I told myself, the way I was feeling in the car. Anyways, I'm there and I got to the point now where I started to cry for help. So I was there saying help, 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 help. But the sound wasn't coming out of the vehicle. I was the only person hearing myself. So even if somebody was passing even probably like 2 feet from me, they probably wouldn't hear. And I was in there calling for help. I wasn't seeing anybody. I didn't hear anything. I could still see that cars were passing. Could see the lights, everything. So anyways, I'm there in the car and I was like, yo, this thing is serious, man. Something really bad happened. And I was there and I was like, what could it be? Why do I feel this way? So I started to pray. And I prayed and I prayed. I felt like I was dying. I didn't know what happened to me at that point. But I felt like I was dying and I started to pray. And I was saying, God, look, I have a son and I have a daughter. What are they going to tell them tomorrow morning when people realize I'm not here anymore? And I started to pray and ask God to keep me so that I could be there for my kids. Somebody asked me before I did this, if I was ready to really speak about this. And I told them I was. And they asked me if I was sure. And I assured them that, yes, I am. So at some point, you may be thinking, how is he just speaking, going through it like that, and doesn't look like he's worried or he's scared or it's affecting him? Well, I tried to get past that. It's been approximately 2 years. So I've learned to deal with it. So I'm quite comfortable. Anyway, so I was praying about, praying to God to keep me alive so that I could be there for my kids. And while I was there praying, I prayed and prayed and still called for help. There was no one coming. So I got to the point where I gave up. So I gave up 3 times, guys. So I'm going to go through it and tell you. So the first time now, I gave up. Now I was like, nobody's coming. So this is it. I have to just make peace. And then that's it. Time to make a transition. That was in my head. And then I thought about the kind of person I was. and the kind of person I still am. Like I'm a fighter, I don't give up. And everybody that knows me, 99.9% of those people know that. So I started to fight again and said, no, I'm not dying in this car, and this is not going to look good because people are going to have so many questions and wonder why did I die in my car. So when I was thinking all of this, and I was like, Sam, it's possible that I got shot. Somebody probably showed me. And then what came to mind was, I wonder if it's that guy who was speaking to me, the last person that was talking to me. So, anyways, I'm in there praying and praying and praying and praying and praying and praying. Still calling for help. Nobody came. Paused. I stopped calling again. That was the second time I gave up. I was like, all right, this is it. I've been calling for like. All right, so guys, this is a very interesting part. I thought I was in the car for approximately 45 minutes. But as one of my good friends told me, 45 minutes could seem like 5 minutes when you're in trauma. But to me, and until this day, I still tell people, I was in the car for 45 minutes. Anyways, I gave up and was like, all right, this is it. And I started to, be rational. I started to say to myself, look, if you keep on calling for help, talking, then you're going to get weak. And then nobody's going to hear you, so save your energy. So one part of my brain was telling me, save your energy and remain calm. Another part was saying, call for help, somebody's going to hear you. Anyways, I'm there, and then I started to fight again. Because I was saying, no man, this can't be real. I'm not going to die in this car. Started to fight again. And while I was fighting, I saw a police car coming. Saw the siren. Not siren, the lights flashing. And I didn't hear any siren, just the lights. And I was like, yes, somebody saw me and called the police. So I am good now. The police is going to find me and they're going to take me to the hospital. From where I could see, I just kind of like tilted my head like this because my head was very weak, as I told you. And watched the police car coming up the road and just drove past my car. And I was like, yo, they really did not come for me. They didn't see me. And that was the third time now. I was like, all right, this is it, Kevin. Police don't even know that you're on the road and that you're hurt or you got shot. Because at this point, I figured that's what had happened to me. I couldn't see any blood or anything. No, I wasn't seeing any blood. Not sure why. I couldn't see anything. So that's part of the reason. I wasn't sure what had taken place. Anyways, after the car passed, I started to pray again. And I said, Lord, it looks like this is it. So you have a space for me in heaven because this is it. And I just kind of just relaxed in the car. And somewhere in the back of my head, even though I kind of gave up, I was like, nah, man, you still have hope. You're still breathing, you still have hope. Something is going to happen. And then I heard my brother's voice. And as soon as I heard his voice, I said to myself, okay, Kevin, you're not going to die today because he's going to take you to the hospital and you're going to be fine. That's what I told myself. And when he came and he said, Louis, and could barely like turn my head. And to be honest, I don't even know if I did turn my head at that point. But I recognized his voice. I knew it was him. And he told me to get up. And I was trying to tell him that I can't get up. And then I saw like he held on to me, and then I just heard when he started, like he was on his phone and he was like, I don't know who he called at that point, but he called somebody and say, yo, my have a GSW, Bridget Louis. And then that's when it was confirmed that I had a gunshot wound. And he took out his phone and called another brother. And they both rushed me to the Cornwall Regional Hospital. I was disoriented, but I was still conscious. So when they rushed me to the hospital now, there was a nurse, a very good friend of mine. She saw me and she said, Kevin Lewin, Oh my God, no man, what happened to him? What happened to you? What happened to you? No, do me a beg, no, no, save him, save him, save him. And that was kind of like when I think I don't know if I went unconscious for a minute, but I didn't know everything that was taking place. I just know that when I really came to myself, I had in like a catheter, and I didn't have on any clothes, and there were doctors and nurses and everyone around me. At this point, I think they had done a CT scan already. I have no recollection of that. And my family members were there, and some of my friends were there. And one particular family member was right by my bedside, and she was explaining to me what happened. And we like to say exactly um, the way things are, and not to pretend. So even though she was really hurting, she laid it out for me. Yeah, and based on what the doctors were saying, it would be highly unlikely that I make it. So I was there, and I was told within the next 24 to 48 hours, I would go into respiratory distress. I have no idea why that news meant nothing bad to me, because in my head, I was alive and I was going to stay alive. So even though that was the science of it, somewhere I felt like this was not going to happen to me. And I thought to myself at that point, oh, I feel all right, man. I'm good. Not going to happen to me. So while we're there waiting, and I could see everyone's faces look really worried and concerned. And I was there and I was like very calm. I have no idea why the calm, but I wasn't worked up. I wasn't worrying about dying in the next 24 to 48 hours, because I never thought I would die. So maybe there were angels there with me, consoling me and telling me that everything will be okay. But that's how I felt. They told me that I would need to get get I would need to be on a ventilator, because where I got the GSW in my spine, it would affect my breathing, and at some point it would, I guess my lungs would give up. So they said I needed a ventilator, and they began to make plans for me to be airlifted overseas. I was there waiting. I thought, okay, well, maybe this is really more serious than I thought it was. So if they have to airlift me, that means it's really, really bad. Anyways, long and short of that part, there were so many paperwork that needed to be done, and I needed to be confirmed a space in the hospital abroad, and stuff wouldn't get done in time, and I would have to do a COVID test and wait X time. All sort of, you know, obstacles that were there to prevent like a timely travel to be admitted abroad. So I was there and just waiting and hoping for a miracle. So I think I spent that night at Cornwall Regional Hospital. The doctors and nurses did a great job, by the way, even though I didn't see most of it. But I knew from what persons were saying that it was pretty bad, and they must have did a lot for me to be alive. So I wanted to thank them for that. I really appreciate it. So if they are watching this video or watching this episode, just know that you are appreciated. Um, so I spent that night there, and I believe I spent the other day there as well. And then the third day, I was transferred to hospital. When I got to hospital, I was admitted into intensive care. Can't remember how long I spent in intensive care. But I remember while being there, I was encouraged by family and friends. And, I felt like, this, because that really helps you when you're in a situation like this. And I felt really motivated to stay alive, and wanted to do that for myself as well as my family and friends. So while in intensive care, got visits, and I was there fighting and fighting and fighting. And then my vitals started to stabilize, and I started to feel better. And I realized I didn't need to be on a ventilator after all. So nobody can tell me that that wasn't a miracle, because it was not supposed to go that way. So I'm really, really, really like appreciative of all the effort that went into helping me. So I spent maybe, not sure, as I said, maybe a week in intensive care, and maybe another half a week upstairs on the ward. And I continue to get visits from family, friends, and co-workers, some of my co-workers, and that really kept me going. And I have a cousin as well who was there with me on the ward to just kind of, so I didn't feel alone. So all of those things together really helped me to get through the initial stages of the trauma. Um, so after hospital, um, I was transferred to Kingston to TTW, and had a team of doctors there who were still evaluating my situation and checking out all the possibilities of me trying to, I guess you would say, get back on your feet, pun intended. Um, so while there, I started to feel better, and this was in December. This was in December. I started to feel better and was encouraged, and they were doing a very good job. So on my birthday, which is December 17th, we had a Zoom call from my co-workers at Pika, and that really lifted my spirits. It was, I think, maybe a 25-30 minutes Zoom call, and I got to share stuff with my co-workers, and we're there talking about everything, running jokes, etc. So that was really nice of them, and I was there for approximately a month. Approximately a month. After that, I was strong enough to do rehabilitation, so I went to Mona Rehab, and I started to do therapy, which was encouraging. I started to see improvements, and I was grateful for that. As I like to describe myself to persons when they ask me how it was initially, I described myself as a piece of log flowing down a river with no control, because that's exactly what I was. I could not move any limbs at all on my body. Only place that could move was my neck, and I also wore a neck brace for like about 3 months. So you can just imagine trying to sleep in a neck brace, doing your therapy and all of that. Like it was a really, really, really stressful situation. But I still didn't let it stress me. So while at Mona Rehab, I was at Mona Rehab from January until about April. In April, I developed complications that landed me back at TTW, and it was kind of a bitter and sweet moment, because when I went back, they were happy to see me, but they weren't happy to see me, because no one wants you to come back to the hospital for treatment. Because once you're in a hospital, it means that it's not a good thing. But anyways, I was there and I made the best of it, and encourage myself, try to to do stuff that would make me forget about what was really going on, like watching TV, like favorite, like sports. Everybody normally loves sports, watching sports. And I developed a good friendship with the staff. Like, I even had a few doctors who were big fans of basketball, and we had a good time. They jeered me, mocked me when my team did not do well, and it was just so much fun to know that even though I'm in a hospital, I felt like I still felt good and felt like I was still living, you know, and that also helped me to continue fighting and not to give up. I went there in April and I left. I left in July, but thank God I made it through that, and I'm still here. went to a nursing home, and I thought it would be, it would be helpful to go there because I need 24-hour care, and I thought that was the best place to go rather than to, have have employ people to come and, work for me, and because it would be very expensive. I realized after a month that was not for me. I couldn't handle it. So I had to leave. And that's how I got home. So after getting home, of course I have to get caregivers to take care of me, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And I've been upbeat, and I have a very great therapist who is so excited about, getting me to some level of independence where I don't need 24 hours care. And it's been going great so far. So I appreciate my caregivers, I appreciate my therapist, and all my brothers and sisters who come and visit me and assist in whatever way they can. And notice I said brothers and sisters because that's what they are to me. Well, you have friends, but you have family, and they're considered family. So that's what I've been doing, and I'm so grateful. And pretty much that is what really happened. People ask me, how do I feel about the situation now that, I'm at home, and what happened to who did this to you? And the fact is, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea who did this to me. And there are so many things going on in the streets, so many stories. Everybody have a theory. Person said that was wrong place, wrong time, because I would have been a witness to whatever those persons did. They were trying to run away from the scene, and I was just a roadblock, and they needed to get rid of me. Some people said they probably thought I was reaching for something when I was plugging in the phone, and that's why what happened to me happened. There are all kind of stories, but I just told you to the best of my knowledge what had happened. Um, I just want to say that no matter what you're going through, somebody out there is going through a lot worse than you. And I've had friends and co-workers who call me and, may tell me about something that is happening in their life. And then they're like, when I think about what's happening in my life, and then I remember your situation, like I get motivated. And I'm happy I'm doing that for persons. Because people would think that because I'm in this position that I would be sad. I am nowhere near sad. If you ask me if I was mad in the beginning, of course I was extremely mad. I was actually mad at God. I didn't even want to talk to him, to be honest, because I thought that there are so many evil people out there that I'm not saying they deserve this, but I know for certain that I did not deserve what happened to me. But I grappled with that for a while, and then I decided, you know what? It's not going to get me anywhere to be mad. So I started to just, to accept what is the current situation and hope that going forward it will get better. And I am very optimistic that that is going to happen. I have some very, very, very good cheerleaders, including my son and my daughter, and family and friends. And it's like I'm the same person, except that it's just that I'm immobile at the moment. But I'm still hoping that at some point that will change, even if it's not right now, but somewhere in the near future. So no matter what you're going through, somebody else is going through worse than you. So just pick up the pieces and move on. Now this is my first episode, so the other episodes won't be about what happened to me. I just wanted persons who were not privy to what had happened, or persons who would have concerns about, while they might see me in a wheelchair at some point, that this is actually the situation. So I'm gonna ask you guys to please like, share, and subscribe. It only takes 3 seconds for you to subscribe to the channel, and I promise you I have very interesting content coming your way. So you're not gonna come back and hear me talking about being a quad unless it's related to something I'm talking about or it comes up. But it won't be what this channel is about, as said before. And as I said, it's open floor with Kevin Lewin, meaning we'll talk about any and anything that is worth discussing. In closing, it might not be much, but do something for somebody today. It doesn't matter what it is, even to encourage somebody, even to lend a helping hand. Like, it does a lot. I've realized since my incident that I show more empathy to people. Not that I didn't do before, but sometimes you are not really. Sometimes you are blinded by the reality that there are persons out there who are always going to need help. But when you're in a position where you're not in a situation or nothing is happening to you that is adverse or negative, then you don't really see certain things. But I've seen a lot of things since I've been in this position, and I probably would not have seen it hadn't I been in this position. So I'm just saying, just kind of open your minds a little bit more. Try to forgive yourself for things that may have happened. Try to forgive people. Don't hold any grudges. No, it's hard to say to some people, but trust me, it works better when you have no baggage and you have peace of mind. That takes you a far way. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Stimulate TV. And I didn't check how many subscribers I have before doing this video. However, the offer still stands. You guys need to hit the subscribe button so that I could reach my 1,000 subscribers within the next month or two, so that I could help myself to also earn a living from this. And a lot of persons asked me how they can help, what can they do to assist me. Well, this is what you can do. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. So far, I've been doing good because the Lord is taking care of me. But of course, based on my situation, I have a lot of expenses. So this is one way you can assist me. All right. So bless upon yourself. Next time I come back with a video, another episode, I'll be calling you guys the stimulators. Okay. Yeah. So bless up. Talk to you guys next time. Louis V, Kevin Lewin out.